are listening to the All Metal Mode podcast with your host, Mike Hare. Join me and Gypsy Jules every Monday night and Matt Hoffman and myself every Tuesday night. Listen in as we discuss a wide range of metal detecting and related topics such as technical, equipment, talk to guests, and so much more. Sit back, join in on the drinking game. For those new to the show, every time I say relic machine, you need to do a shot. These are the rules, I didn't make them up. We hope you enjoy this episode of All Metal Mode. Hey everybody, this is Mike Hare, and Matt Hoffman will be joining me in a few minutes. Predator Tools. George Lesh makes the best hand tools out there. They have some great new shovels out. Check them out when you get a chance. PredatorTools.com. I've seen some stuff lately on some really junk tools out there. If you want the best, You want something made with pride, with USA steel. Each one is made by George and heat treated individually by George himself. And best tools out there. PredatorTools.com. So yeah, tonight's gonna be something else. We're going to talk about the dark side of the hobby, and there's a reason for that. I actually had 3 phone calls over the weekend, 3 phone conversations. And we'll get into that. People that have had issues with fellow hunters or some different things, and I think it needs to be brought up. I know a lot of people won't talk about it, and some of the negative stuff in this hobby, but I think it needs to be known. And I think especially if you're new to the hobby, you got to be aware. You need to know what's going on and what some of these people are capable of. And right after I say that, I need to say there are some great people in this hobby. I'm just saying you have to be careful. You need to be aware of some of this and what's going on. And it's yep. We're gonna get into that. How's that going, Matt?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. I have a dog that needs a dog training lesson or two, even though she's like 12 or 11 now. But other than that, my finances for metal detectors go down every week as she busts out more screens to windows in my house. I'm telling you, it's getting ridiculous. So if anybody really wants a dog, I'll send her your way.
I got enough dogs.
No, she's a good dog. She just loves to be outside, and if we're all gone for the day, she will find a way to get out of some window in the house, door, wherever she can do. And holy moly!
Hey, are you moving your phone around a bunch?
No, sir.
Okay. You were talking about that's funny. She's a pretty dog. I've seen pictures of her. She just likes to be outside. Why are you trying to hold her back and keep her imprisoned?
Well,
she's old. Let her run, Dad.
Maybe I'm thinking maybe I should just build her a doghouse out. Well, here's the thing: if I'm home, as soon as I go in the house, she's at the door barking because she wants to come back in. But the second I let her in, and I go back outside or whatever, she wants back outside. I don't know. There's no hope. I don't think at this point. But she is a good dog.
What about a doggy door?
Well, I was going to buy one once, but I have 2 cats as well, and you know, they do make ones that have like a collar the dog would wear, so when the dog gets close, it would open for her and let her out. But oh, I don't need her out running in the mud and everything else too. She's just, I don't know, but it's. I mean, I'll tell you, I'll be honest. It's like having a third child in the house. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, I've got two dogs, man, and now that Randy's here and Steph has toys in every square inch of the apartment, we have no room. We have and two like 60-pound dogs. I'm constantly tripping over, and yeah, I know about that. But I love my dogs, man. They're amazing. But yeah, now that she's crammed, obviously, I think most people that are into metal detecting. I don't know if I've gone here before, but most people that are into metal detecting are into history. And I love history. That's how I got into this, and it I've read stories that back, the Indians used to take their babies, their newborns, and take them out in the field 100 yards and leave them to cry until they stopped crying. They wouldn't pick them up until they cried, until they stopped crying. And, they wrapped them in furs and, dude, we have a high chair, of course, a high chair. We've got a pack and play. We've got a jumper. We've got just everywhere you look, he's 8 months old, and you can't walk anywhere in this house without stepping on a baby toy. I don't know why he needs 552 baby toys. And you know what? Oh, oh, Steph's in. Oh, I didn't know she was listening tonight. I'm probably in trouble. But here's my thing. We have toys everywhere. Like she's got him a couple, like 3 now, little play phones. I don't know why we need
you
one.
Gotta have 3 play phones.
You give that boy
Of course.
you give that boy a cord, a hanger, and a piece of paper, and he will keep himself busy for hours. Hours. Loves it. Why all of his fancy little toys that make sounds and everything lay there. He's playing with a piece of paper and rattling it and making noises and taking a hanger and whacking the crap out of me, and he's happy. So I don't know, but anyhow, yeah, with the dogs, then you throw in 2 60-pound dogs and you're trying to walk through somewhere that there's 3 inches to get through, and it's all a mess. Jason said soon you'll be buying a Fisher-Price metal detector. No deal. He's going to be using a real detector.
You get him a real one, man.
I'll shorten that thing down.
La stuff.
Yeah, for sure. But
boy.
Tonight, I hope you're ready for it. The dark side of the hobby. I think it needs to be said. I get so frustrated sometimes, and it seems like so very few care or are willing to talk about it. And there's some big names in this hobby that know what's going on, and they don't want to talk about it. They don't, well, it hurts us all. It affects us all, and it needs to be brought up. And people new to the hobby need to understand what's going on, and it's something I think that needs talked about more. I do. So I had 3 calls over the weekend. One guy, a guy he used to hunt with, faking finds. Every time he goes out with him, he doesn't find anything, but next day he's posting he found a bunch of stuff, and he's, every time he goes, he doesn't hunt with him anymore. But it's frustrated him. I hunted with that guy. Now I'm associated with that guy to some extent. The same guy, he knows somebody who sold a detector, bought it, turned it all into silver, buried it, had a seeded hunt, and the guy was bragging about how much money he made and how he's going to keep doing it. I don't know. That bothers me. I don't know that that's wrong. I mean, if people pay for it and stuff, but it seems like so many people in this hobby are trying to make money and stuff like that. I mean, and where's the passion for the hobby, man? I mean, it's still there, and obviously there's people like us that love metal detecting. But so many people, I see so many people, you know, get into this hobby, and I question, like, is this because they're passionate about it, or is this about money? Is this about self promoting and trying to these people faking these finds? They're looking for approval. They want to, well, do that by going out and doing hard work. Do your research. Um, Go door knock. Go get turned down. Go out and hunt it. I don't know, man. What's your thoughts?
Well, I'm a big fan of. Personally, I think in the long run, hard work and honesty, always will win out. Maybe not for everyone. Obviously there's a lot of people, and it's the whole fake it till you make it routine. And I'm not against. I don't know. I'm not against anyone, trying to make some money or anything like that. But I think a lot of people, especially new people to the hobby, they watch these videos, they watch this stuff, and it's almost like they're just, understand that not everybody is true to what they're saying and showing and doing to what like the reality is. And, it's kind of just, I don't know, beware, but, take everything. It's like anything. Don't trust everything. You don't trust everything you see on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
It's that old, you remember the commercial where, I don't know if you remember, there was a commercial for something where the guy says he was a French model, and she's like, yeah, I saw it on the internet or something. But, I think that a lot of people, and I don't begrudge anybody for trying to make some money or just to get their name out there and whatnot. That's great.
I don't have a problem with it either. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like there's so many people that's all it's about. I mean, it's more like a job to them, and they're money first or notoriety first, metal detecting second. That's where I struggle.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, and I feel like that I see a lot of stuff, and once again, I'll bring this up. Said when I watch Gypsy's videos, they're real, man. They're real. Mm-hmm. I can watch that video and say, hey, this is true. She's doing it because she loves metal detecting. It's that simple,
Yeah.
And I don't know. As I think about this, though, I'm like, if I had a job that I didn't like, I would, and it paid good money, I would continue to go to work for the money. But, I find that, and that's okay. But, it seems to be a little different when it just comes to hobbies. I don't know. It's tough because everybody's got the reasons for doing the things they do. But I don't like to see, especially fake fines and stuff like that, and that just bothers me because it just and then even that, and then like reviews on stuff. You say, okay, this guy says this machine's awesome, but what's his motive behind that? Is it truly a great machine, or is deep down in he's getting kickbacks from somebody else somewhere along the line that it's hard to like I said, it's hard to believe.
Hold on, let me
you see.
I want to say something because I do reviews. I want to address that. I agree. Like, and that's when I got started on that. Look, I've had over 40 articles published in metal detecting magazines over the years. It's been a few years, probably, I would guess 4 or 5 years now since anything has been published in magazines. But something I always wanted to be able to do was reviews. Okay. That's why I started. Well, I started my blog because I wanted to be able to write about what I wanted to. I also want to say every article I've ever submitted to a magazine was published. I never one article got turned down. Now, sometimes things had to be changed because I brought up this brand or something like that, which I hated. Why can't, you don't have the freedom. There's politics involved, obviously. Um, so, I didn't like that. But I've always wanted to do reviews. Now, when I set out to do my reviews, um, every single time I said, I introduced myself, what I do, sent links. Can I borrow a detector for a month? Let me have it for a month. I might not be able to. I might need it for longer, but can we start with a month and do it? And they don't do that. So what they do is you get the metal detector, and I've turned down two companies that wanted me to sign paperwork saying I wouldn't say anything negative, and my response to that was I write for the reader, not the manufacturer, so I didn't do it. Delic and Rudis, why Rudis even sent me one, I'm not sure. I love their detector. I'm telling you right now, if you want a fast, lightning fast, deep, affordable detector, you can get them here for about $800. It is incredible. I just watched a video last night. A guy went over a spot that he hunted with his Deus first, and came back and he dug several more targets, and he's showing. Here's probably why the Deus missed it. Right, look, right there's a big chunk of iron in the ground. Oh, here's a nail in the same one. Because the Rudis is known for what am I looking for? What's that word I'm looking for? Mass targets. They're known for picking out mass targets, man. And that thing has a steady VDI. It has a pictograph. You can change the tones. Everything about it I'm just in love with. But you can't get them here in the United States. You got to buy it from England, get it shipped. By the time you get it shipped over, it's about $800. I would put that up against all the relevant detectors out on the market right now, though. It is, in a lot of cases, would beat them. It is incredible. But, so I don't know why they sent that to me. But them and Macro Nocta, both of them said, we want honest reviews. I've talked to some of the manufacturers, the U.S. manufacturers, and I've said, why don't you guys do a program where you send them out to people like me that have a little audience and let us do reviews? Let us have it for a month, maybe a month and a half, 2 months if we don't get out enough, but no more than 2 months. And then we can pick up another one. They kind of get rotated around so you get more information out there. And that's just not how they do it, and that's fine. But I would, honest to God, I would rather be able to get my hands on more detectors than to have one model given to me to test and review, because there's no manufacturers like, oh yeah, here's the next one, here's the next one, here's the next one. So do a program where people like me can get our hands on more detectors. So I don't know, but my articles are honest. I did, somebody that I consider a friend did bring up one of my last reviews and said, I don't like this, and this about this detector. And it was all, none of it was performance wise. It was, how it charged. It was where the pinpoint button was. I'm talking about the multi-cruiser. And I think those were the two big things. And although I brought up the pinpoint button, I've realized I'm not hard enough on those kind of things. I'm really focused on the performance. I can really overlook a lot of issues on a detector because he's right. I don't like screwing it in to charge it. I'm not a huge fan of the charging port. But I didn't even take that into consideration when I wrote about it. I just didn't think about it. It's going out. It's really fast. I'm getting really great depth. I like, that's what I was writing about. I wasn't writing about. That's kind of funny. Somebody said something recently on one of my posts. I'm not going to name names. Said something about I need to get out some, and then it's been brought to my attention by some other people that that I don't get out and stuff. And it's like, look, just because I'm not out there posting my junk on 652 Facebook group pages, to make no mistake about it, I'm getting out. I'm testing detectors. I'm out metal detecting. I'll be honest with you. I'm limited with my son, and having Monkey and homeschooling her now and stuff, but don't think I'm not getting out. I mean, God, that kind of hit me hard. Like,
Mike,
how am I doing reviews and stuff? If I'm not getting out metal detecting with the machines, you know what I mean? Like, but just because I don't post my junk on all 652 Facebook groups doesn't mean I'm not getting out.
Insert joke here, everybody.
Yeah.
Posting your junk. I'm sorry, that was funny. Oh boy.
Yeah, but I just told Matt before the show. I said I'm pretty done with reviews. I'm at the point, if Macro Nocta wants me to do something, I will. And I will keep writing about them, even if they don't. I'll keep writing about Rudis. I know it doesn't do them a lot of good here in the United States, but that's a killer detector. And other than that, at this point in time, I'm kind of done and over with it. I don't want to be, I don't want people to, well, Mike's getting these free detectors. I feel guilty about that. And again, I wish they would offer programs, hey, you've got enough hits, you've got a big enough platform. Yeah, we'll send you a detector out for a month, and then, hey, if that goes good, send it in. We'll send you another one. I would love that. That's my goal. That's my dream. I'd love to see the manufacturers do that. Get it in more people's hands than just mine. But also, I've thought maybe there's some guilt that comes. If we give this to them, they're going to be guilted into writing a good review. And that's why anytime I've written any of the companies about using something, I start off with, I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm going to write honest reviews. And I will also say, I will not trash your detector. I will not, but I'm going to be honest about it. And the reason I would never trash a detector is this right here. I'm going to put it out there real honest. I hate the T2. The Technetics T2, me and that detector, we have almost gotten into fistfights before. I've owned 3 of them. I have owned 3 of them, Matt, trying to master it because it's like I can pick up almost anything without any reviews, any articles, without any YouTube stuff, and I can learn it on my own. That machine, I've watched videos, I've tried this, I've tried that, I just don't like it. But with that said, there's no doubt that the T2 is a very good and very capable detector. I know people that wouldn't be without one. And, Brian Harvey's one of them, Digger's Den. He said, Mike, it took me a good bit to wrap my mind around it, but he said once I did, he goes, nothing will get the depth relic hunting like a T2 that he's used. And, so that's why I would never trash a machine. Maybe I don't like it. Maybe I can't. Not every detector is for everybody. Sometimes it takes a special person or, you know what I mean, to understand a metal detector. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, yeah, everybody's got, their own personal preferences.
King Guthrie says, I hate the T2 as well. Preach. Skyline says, I love the T2. Yeah, right there. That is why I would never trash a detector, because
Yes, my buddy Mark uses it. He likes it.
Right.
He has no problems with it.
Exactly.
And one thing I think, Mike, is that, and you kind of touched on this, is, you say you didn't really bring up like the charging port or, where the, certain things like that. Those are just, in my mind, like, are those important? Yeah, but at the end of the day, is the functionality of the detector, does it do what it needs to do?
Right, but people want to know that stuff. People want to know that stuff. I mean, you've got the multi. I have to charge it leaning up against a wall, which plugged in directly to the detector. I don't like that. I don't care. I mean, for me, I don't care. I don't love it, but I do what I have to, because when I take it out, I love it.
Let me sell you a custom wall bracket that you can install to set your detector on.
You're funny. Every wall is covered in kids' toys. Don't even. But yeah, enough about that. We kind of got way off subject, but I'm just kind of done with the reviews. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it. I'm not saying that something couldn't come along that I wouldn't. If the manufacturers ever decide to do a loaner program, of course I would reach out and, hey, send me something. I'd love to use it for a month, because I love that, man. That's my favorite, is learning a new detector, being able to share. Right now, I've only been really getting out the last maybe 3 weeks. Living in Texas, it is just crazy hot. So over the summer I did very little detecting. Early in the morning before the sun came up, until the sun came up for an hour. But I have been getting out pretty good lately. And what I want to do is I want to go back and write some more about the multi-cruiser and coils. I've got some different coils I want to use and try out, and which I've already started. And then I probably won't do that until after I'm in Ohio, because I plan on really testing them all out in Ohio. And then I want to get the Rudis out, and which I have been, but I want to be able to write more in depth, some different programs, and that's what I'm doing now. And
you have a Rudis showdown while you're up here.
Since you got yeah.
That'd be a good idea.
Man, that Rudis, just every time I go out, it grows on me more and more. I mean, when I do a review, anytime I've done a review, I have a good grasp of the metal detector, and it's not through a coin garden or air testing. I get out and I dig with it. But in all reality, the manufacturers want your review. They'd sent you a detector. They want the review. So when I do a review, I promise you I know it well enough to write about and to give a good, honest review. But I don't know it well enough to start telling you about the intricacies of it and the characteristics of, you know what I'm getting at? Like,
well, yeah. I mean, every machine's got its own nuances, and there's little things here and there, and but yeah, I mean, you can you pick up a machine and use it for a little while, you can tell. You have enough to write about it.
Now I want to get out and learn those little nuances, and which I am. I've already started, and I want to write more about that. So that's what I'm going to be writing about. When in regular articles, things that come up and stuff. But I just did an article Sunday. I was up all night. I've been wanting to write it. It was about Detectivall. If you go to allmetalmode.com, check it out. Up top in the navigation is articles, and you can read that and any of my other articles that you'd like to. But yeah, so let's get more back on track here. I feel like we got. I think I only talked about the one guy. Yeah, another guy called me, and he hunts with two other guys all the time. Him and the other guy call the third guy all the time, and he's like, "Yeah, where you guys? What kind of site is it?" And if it's he started noticing that if it's good, he would, and if it wasn't something that he thought would be great, he wouldn't go. And then they would see him posting finds where he went out, but he never offered up any of his sites. And that gets frustrating, man. When you I've hunted with somebody like that, and I had to cut him out of my life like that. I'm not going to do that. I mean, hey, if you want to do that, that's your prerogative. If you want to hunt with somebody like that, that's fine. I'm not giving you a hard time, but be aware that there's people out there like that, and you just got to be careful. Another guy I talked to, spots were getting stolen. And took some kind of one of those situations, took somebody under his wing and showed him how to the hobby and stuff, and was driving down the road and saw him at one of his houses. And yeah, dude, yeah, what's the deal? And he's like, I stopped and got permission from my, well, the guy didn't even think that was wrong. If somebody takes you, if you take me to a park, a public park, and here's a great situation. I had a friend in Columbus, Ohio, who knew all the parks, and he took me to a school, huge grass area. I mean, acres and acres, and most of it you wouldn't find anything. You could find random stuff, but there was some really good hot areas, and he took me there. And of course, I'd had him down to where I was hunting several times, and I met a friend up in Columbus, not from the area, and I didn't know where to go. Well, it was some people know, if you've been listening to the show since the beginning, Bob, my original co-host, was a truck driver, and he came into town, and he was parked up that way, and for the night, and wanted to go detecting. And I didn't know Columbus like these people. I called Mark up, and I said, "Hey, Mark, I got a question." I said, "If the answer's no, man, I understand completely." I said, "Bob's in town. He's down the road from that school you took me to. Would you mind if we went and hunted it?" And he kind of laughed. He said, "No, absolutely not, man." I said, "Hey, are you available? You want to come hunt with us?" He goes, "No, I'm not available." But he's like, "Have at it." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" I mean, that's a public place. And that's how I feel about this. I don't care. I didn't know about that park. I didn't know about those hot spots, and I wouldn't have without Mark. So I felt that was what I needed to do.
Well, I think that's the respectable thing to do. That's the same as me. There's, I've been places with other people, and I wouldn't so much as even think about, even if it's a public place, I wouldn't even really consider going out there, without saying, "Hey, do you mind if I go out to that spot that you took me to, or whatnot?" It was my buddy Mark one time. He called me up and he said, "Hey, do you mind if I go to that? You mind if I go down to that park by your house?" And I'm like, "No, absolutely not. Go right ahead." I mean, it's a public park. I said, "I do appreciate that, you asking me since I took you there, but by all means, go right ahead. I don't care."
Mm-hmm.
But I just think it's a matter of respect, I think that if you respect, places that people get you into or maybe take you to, and I think that goes a long way. And especially if you return the favor, you take them out to somewhere. But I see, and I haven't had like the kind of problems like you probably have run into where. It seems like one guy wants to do all the work to find the spots, and the other guy just kind of tags along and, gets to reap all the benefits of that. But, I'm sure it happens quite a bit.
Yeah, it's, if you're new to the hobby, trust me. Hey, there are some amazing people in this hobby, but you really got to be careful for the ones. What I always recommend is this: if you want to hunt with somebody and somebody reaches out to you, if they say things like, "Hey, I'd love to come hunt with you," or "Love to come hunt your area," they'll kind of, they don't say, "Hey, come over to my spot." The people with intentions, bad intentions, are usually about that. If they say, "Hey, let's get together somewhere and go metal detecting," that's awesome. They probably have good intentions, but if they start talking about your area and coming hunting with you, and I'm not saying they're all bad, but that's a lot of them are. They have bad intentions. They're not going to have you out at their places. They want you to take them out to their places. A funny story. I sold a detector to a guy years ago. He was over in Indiana, and he wanted to come over. And when I had my own shop in Ohio, I would take guys out. I'd take them out all day. They could come back, and I'd take them out multiple times. I had places lined up for that kind of stuff, that I felt okay taking people to. And some of them were really good, gave up a lot of silver and stuff, and even some of my customers. And so he drove from Indiana, and we spent all day. And when he was leaving, he said it a couple times. He's like, "Hey, if you get any other good spots, let me know." Now, I don't know about you, Matt, but holy crap, man, did that rub me wrong? Like, hey, he never invited me over to Indiana. Never, hey, if you want to get together, maybe we could find, hey, I'll help you with research. Something like that. I'd consider that. But hey, if you find any place real good, let me know. I'll come over. Like, I felt like he was, hey, I'll grace you with my presence if you find something good. And I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, you got to watch out for those people. Some of those people will. The guy that was in chat that we had a little drama a month or so back, he's known for that.
A good show.
Huh?
I said that was a good show.
I've heard guys have told me that he's one of those. Not one of those. He'll steal a spot right out from underneath you, kind of guy. Yeah,
that's what some people told me afterwards when I was talking to him, and there were some few people that had mentioned that to me. I don't understand. Well, I will say this, like, let's say I have no problem like knocking on someone's door, talking to them, whatever. Okay, that's fine. And my buddy Mark, he's not a door knocking type of person. Like, he won't go up to a door and knock, but he'll track down a lot of old schools, a lot of old parks and stuff, and take me with, and I'll go with him, and then vice versa. Like, if I get a permission on an older house and he's available to come, I'll say, hey, come on out. Let's, come down. Let's check this place out, or wherever it's at. It doesn't really matter.
Hold on, real quick. You just got an invite. You're not in chat tonight, are you? Will Mercer.
No, I'm not.
He says, guy I work with just gave me permission to come hunt his yard. House is 101 years old in the heart of Little Italy in Cleveland. Huge house, been family owned. Looking forward to getting into it. Where's Matt? More than welcome. Will, let me tell you something.
I'll be there, man.
This is something.
You tell me when, I'll be there.
This is something I love about Matt. When I first started talking, Matt does not mind door knocking. He doesn't mind asking permission. He doesn't mind doing some of the research. He is limited on time, and you guys have all heard me talk about what a fart in a skillet he is. Really, I would rely on him more for getting permission than doing research, because he'll start something with the best intentions, but he'll end up off on something. Yeah, totally sidetracked. But that's what I like about Matt. He's invited me up to Northeast Ohio. I just can't get up there. man, come up here, we'll go door knock, or I'll get his permission. You want to do some overlaying and stuff. Matt's a good dude, and you know, I trust him 100%. He's not going to go back to a spot. He's not going to, Matt's been at this. What you find, a lot of these people, not all, I shouldn't say that. Some of these people are new that do this. And I think they're not even bad people, but they get that fever. And they will go back to, they'll do some shady stuff. But don't get me wrong, some of those old timers, man, I'll tell you what, they'll in a heartbeat, they'll steal a sight from you. But yeah, Matt's good people. Good people. But yeah, so
I'll be honest. Like, I mean, I think I'm a pretty fair and honest guy myself. I'm not gonna, I never go out of my way to. In fact, I don't think I've ever screwed anybody over in my life. Intentionally. So.
Yeah, and like I've hooked him and Tim up. Tim, Gene Driven. That's
Tim Gendriven.
I'm Gene Driven. It looks like Gene Driven. I hooked him up, and I don't know what. I mean, I kind of I'll get pictures and stuff now and then of them two hunting together and stuff. But I don't know the details. But Tim had made the comment. Something, I forget exactly what it was about. Matt will get permission anywhere. He'll talk to anybody. So I'm guessing you've gotten permission before out with him and stuff. I mean, Matt's good people, Will. Make him take you to some places. Make him door knock for you. He'll do it, man. He'll do it. He'll go knock on
door. Knock any old day.
Yeah.
That don't matter to me.
Yeah, he'll go. And if you got some if he comes up there, yeah, put him to work door knocking for you too, man. If there's places, that mansion with the perfect manicured yard that you're scared to go knock on the door, send Matt up there. He'll do it.
Send me up there. We'll talk him right into it.
Yeah, Matt's got it.
No, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I've been turned down by so few people that I've approached and talked to just randomly, door knocking that. I don't know. I must do something right because they let me right on in.
Yeah, you must. Because
and I really think part of it is either A, I wear them down with the stuff I'm telling them, or B, they can just they see the excitement and passion. I'm just passionate about it, and I'm so excited, and maybe that's it. I don't know. I mean, but a long time ago, I used to think, this whole door knocking thing, no one's going to let me metal detect a yard, but I was completely wrong. Been very shocked at how easily it seems for me to get into a place.
I think for being a big guy and, some people find me intimidating. I'm not. I'm a really nice guy, I think. I mean, I don't know. But, I know people can look at me and feel a little intimidated. I've had really good luck as well getting permission to metal detect. My problem is if there's, on a city block, if there's one person that is batshit crazy on that block, that's the house I'm going to go to. And that's, I field hunting, I find older stuff, okay? And that's what I love about it. But a real benefit of that as well is farmers don't mess with you. Landowners don't mess with you while you're out field hunting. I had one farmer was interested, and if he was leaving or something, he'd drive out into the field real quick and, hey, you find anything? What you find? Talk for a few minutes, and then he was off. But I've literally had people follow me around. I don't care. I'll give you everything. Just sit on the porch and watch from a distance. When I can feel your breath down my neck, I'm not enjoying myself. You know what I mean? And I'm joking too, but I literally have had a guy run into the back of me when I stopped. So that's why it's not my favorite thing. But I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, I have pretty good
Well,
luck too. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is, you know, I don't know. I just like talking to people in general, and have I been turned down? Yeah, not too often, but usually when I get turned down, it's for reasons of like, hey, we just like it's reasons that are there's nothing I could have said or done to get on the property. It wasn't going to happen. But it's few and far between, and I think, I don't know. And I'll tell you a quick story. Tim and I went out. We stopped at a place, and unfortunately, we were unable to. The people were home, but they didn't answer the door. Perhaps they saw a big guy outside and said, "I'm answering this door." I don't know,
Right.
but anyhow, so we went across the street. There was an older farmhouse, and it looked like they were doing some work in the yard and whatnot. And so we pulled up, and Tim said, "You gonna go to the door?" I said, "I want to see you go. Let's go do it." Because he said he gets turned down a lot at houses, and not that I sort of wanted to see him. I didn't want to see him get turned down because I wanted to detect there, but it was like one of those things. Like I wanted to see like what he says to see if there's anything like that I would think that I might have said different. That might change the approach or something, or But now, fortunately, well, I guess in that case, the guy was real cool. He wasn't home, and we called a number that was on the sign, and he's like, "Oh yeah, go on over, yeah, whatever." And I'll be back in like a little bit. And so yeah, it was pretty sweet deal. The guy was super nice. His wife was really nice, but nevertheless, yeah, I don't know. I kind of wanted to see like his approach and methods for just talking and interacting with people, which to me it seems like he did. I don't think he gets turned down that much. I mean, he said he does, but I don't believe it.
Yeah. I know we're a little bit off subject, but I think the best thing is just honesty, be upfront. I tell them, I introduce myself, tell them what I do, and I'm into history. Like to metal detect their yard. I won't tear it up. I'll dig small, nice holes. When I leave, they'll never know I was there. I don't have a problem telling them, hey, if there's something you're interested in, or I'll tell you, I don't like people who want this stuff because they think money. But if they're into it for the
Yeah.
history, I'll give it all to them. And most people are that way. They're not. They might be really interested in their history, the history of their property and stuff. Man, I'll clean the finds, put them in a case for you and everything. That's how, because I love history. I love, if they'll keep it with the house, if they like history enough that they want to display it at their own house, to me, that's way cooler than me owning it. Really. A lot of people don't though. They just, no, I'm not interested, but go ahead, but I tell them what I'm doing, what I'm about, and I'm just real upfront and honest. What's your approach?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same thing. I say, basically, I say I start the same way, and I say, what would it take for you to let me do some metal detect and see if I can find anything cool? Because your house is old. Let's face it, people have dropped cool stuff over the years, and if it hasn't been metal detected, there will be cool stuff in the yard. I mean, there's guarantee there's going to be something cool. Maybe not monetary value wise, but stuff that I'd hate to see just sit there forever and never be found. And and I'll tell them straight up, I like, if there's anything I find that you really want, especially if it has some meaning to the house or property or something like that, I was like, you can have it. I mean, for me, I'd rather not let it sit in the ground. And there's some older houses in my area, and every now and again, one will get torn down, and just because they haven't been upkept and maintained properly, and they bulldoze it down and tear up all the property, and it's just a shame. I hate to see that happen. There's a lot of stuff there that I found a piece the other day that, well, actually, no, not me. Tim found a piece at that place we were out. It was looked like the bell part off of a doorbell, probably from the original doorbell on the house. It was really
Oh, cool.
cool, and we gave that to the guy, and some other stuff, a few little things that we gave him, and like I said, once again, I think people start with the misconception, or a lot of people say, well, if you find a gold bar, we're splitting it. And I'm like, yeah, dude, if I find a gold bar, I'll give it to you, because I'll be dead. I'll pass out and have a heart attack on the spot, if I pull a gold bar out of the ground. But I think a lot of people, they don't understand necessarily. A lot of the stuff probably has more historic value than actually monetary value. And
Yeah.
I had a guy the other day. I pulled a just a standing Liberty, and it was a 1917 Merc, and the Merc, when I took it up and knocked on his door, he came out, and I was still in like a dirt ball, but I could tell it was a silver dime. I was hoping it was going to be a barber or something, but and I popped a clump of dirt off, and I was like, oh, nice. At least that's an older one. I said, it's a 1917. That's pretty cool. And I said, there's no mint mark on it. And he goes, what's a mint mark? And I said, that's why I started explaining a little bit to him. He's like, and I was like, if you want any of this stuff, it's all. He's like, I don't want any of it. You keep it.
Yeah.
He's like, keep whatever. And I'm just like, yeah. I mean, so the thing is, I think just being fair and honest with people goes a long way, and and especially once you do that, and then that's one of my biggest things is you start at one house, and then usually people, especially in the cities, if you got a bunch of old houses together, they know the neighbor, or the neighbor will come out and start talking to you, and you can kind of work yourself right down the road, and it's just that's what I've done and been very successful with that, and I would love to do more farm hunting, farm properties and stuff like that. And I hit a few earlier this year, did okay. Nothing spectacular, but I love getting out and meeting up with different people and talking to them and listening to their stories, and in educating them as well on anything I might know in my research about a property that they would have no clue. And one thing that always shocks me is you ask somebody like, well, how old's your house? And they're like, I have no idea. I have no clue. And I'm like, really? Like that? I mean, I don't know. To me, like, that'd be the first thing I would know about a house,
Well, you're into history.
Have a rough idea.
Yeah. I've found both. I've talked to people that know more about their property than I could do overlaying. They know stuff that predates the map, and
oh yeah,
stuff, and know all about their house and stuff. So but it goes both ways. Usually.
Yeah, I see it the other way too.
When you knock on a door, you usually either get somebody who could care less, have at it. They don't even care to see what you found. They don't want anything. You get the person that's really interested, and they're curious, and even then, they usually don't care if you take the stuff. They more want to see what gets pulled out.
That seems to be what I find more times than not.
Yeah, but you do get those that are, they think you're going to find $1 million treasure in their yard, and those are the ones that are hard to deal with. Trying, look, I've been doing this 20 plus years. There's a hole in my bibs. You see my old beat up truck sitting out front. I'm not going to get rich in your yard. I mean, but some people are like that.
It's interesting. There's a wide variety of, attitudes that people have towards, some people just literally could care less. They're like, yeah, whatever, do what you want. And, I do like when people are at least semi-interested. I more than that, I like when I can pull out a piece out of their yard that, has something to do with the history of that house or property that, and I can give that to them, and that makes me happy. It makes me feel like that. At least if nothing else, I got a cool story out of. Hey, some random dude stopped past and wanted to detect, and he found this. Put it up on the mantle or something, and then they can tell their friends when they're over about the story. And I don't know, just To me, I find it interesting and pretty cool.
Yeah, back on the subject. You talk too much, man. Just like me. Not kidding. You and I talk,
Hey,
man.
get back on
I
track. Your
are
brain has
horrible.
derailed.
Yeah, you and I are horrible at staying on track. Like, this shows the dark side of the hobby, and then an hour later, it's like, okay, let's wrap up how to get permission. Oh man. Yeah, we
we're
need
good at
to
one
help.
thing, and that's being off track.
Yeah, we excel at that. Some other stuff is like night hawking. Guys that go in at night. I sold a detector to a retired detective who used to go night hawking, like state property and stuff. And I'm just like, man, that hurts us. I don't want to hunt with I don't want to be associated with somebody like that. Get caught and make the local news, and that's just wonderful. You know, I think something. I'll tell people out there that might be thinking about doing some of this bad stuff, taking advantage of people. The word will get around, and you'll find where nobody wants to hunt with you, nobody wants to talk to you. You know, if you're thinking about doing something like that, you know, if you're going to think about something like that, think of all the other people you're going to affect. You know, the last city I lived in Ohio, which was Lancaster, Ohio. Yeah, Lancaster. If you say Lancaster, people in Lancaster get upset. They they do, man. It's really weird that everybody corrects you, and I hate that because I'm like, no, it's Lancaster. No, it's Lancaster. But anyhow, up in the northeast part of the county, I would get turned down by the nicest field hunting, which is rare, by the nicest people in the world who were tired of running off the same 2 or 3 guys that were field hunting, that were Indian artifacts, hunting for Indian artifacts, and constantly going on people's property without permission. I mean, I had a conversation with a lady probably over an hour, sweetheart, telling me she gave one person permission to artifact hunt and metal detect. They own thousands of acres, and he brought her a magazine. I don't even know what magazine, where this guy had written an article on these Indian artifacts he'd found, and in the background you could tell that was their woods in the background. Something about it was unique. I don't know or what, but found on her property without permission. And so when you do scummy things like that, it not only does it affect you, not only can you get in big trouble. I mean, there's places where you're liable to get shot doing that stupid stuff. You got to be careful, you know, and not just for your sake, but for other people who are trying to metal detect and artifact hunt and stuff. You ruin it for everybody, and it's usually so easy to get permission that it's not worth it. You know. Who wants to? I mean, you gotta. I would suspect you have to be nervous. You can't really enjoy yourself knowing that you're trespassing. You know, I just don't get that.
I know some people, Mike, that can do stuff like that and not a care in the world. Like, I'd be the guy that's constantly looking over his shoulder. I wouldn't even be able to metal detect.
Yeah.
But you know, I know a few people, and it wouldn't bother them what property they went on to. They wouldn't have a care in the world. Absolutely, just wouldn't care.
Lancaster, Ohio. Lancaster, Ohio has some really good old parks, and they're off limits. And a matter of fact, it's the last amendment to the rules. I've never been there, never hunted them, because it's off limits. But I ran into a guy at the fairgrounds who had gotten ran off. Um, I talked to somebody else that hunted him. I'm trying to think. I did hunt it once with permission to look for a ring. I take that back, but we had permission from the whoever at the parks, who was ever in charge, to look for a guy's ring. He lost his platinum ring, and we did find it. That was the only time I ever got to hunt, and it wasn't one of the old parks. So, but even that hurts us. Somebody sees you hunting, somebody that sees you, you wouldn't believe how many people that can affect and put a bad taste in their mouth. And it's just not a good thing. Don't do it. And too many people are doing it. You just got to. What else are you going to say?
I was going to say, starting tomorrow, Mike's selling T-shirts and all kinds of merchandise.
I can't hear you. You're all garbled up. Say it again.
I said, starting tomorrow, Mike's selling T-shirts and all kinds of merchandise.
No. No, that's another conversation we had earlier about some of the people, and we feel that maybe, metal detecting's not their passion. Making money is, and they're doing it through metal detecting pretty much. Another thing that brought this show about is a guy who has long been known as a faker. Recently made another find. He got called out again on Facebook, and he admitted to it. He's been pummeled and good. These people need called out. They're hurting. He has started his own group, mostly because he's been kicked out of so many. And he's given away faked fines. And people in there have to be thinking that he's getting given away. And that's not the worst, because there's people faking fines and selling them. And that's just, those people need to be called out. And it brings up the point, something that Relic Con's Artie Fakers and Planners page. So controversial. I love it. I think it's needed. I think it's very important, and I think it's a good group. There are some very knowledgeable people in that group, and there's a lot more discussion. It's not like, you can post something and ask questions. Let's say you question whether this person's faking it or not, okay? A lot of people, if it's questionable or something, or if it can't be determined, the people will say there's knowledgeable people in there. It's not a bunch of newbies sitting around saying, "Oh, that's fake. That's fake." That person finds too much. It's not that. There's some good people in there with some really good knowledge who have found a lot of good stuff over the years at the top of their game. Who are, I seen a Barbara Dime posted today. There's nothing about it that tells me it's faked. And the majority of the group, matter of fact, I think just about everybody said, it could be faked, but, we can't go off of that, it looks legit. And, I love the page. I think it's needed. And, they're part of the reason that one guy was called out and finally admitted to it. And people need to know that. You need to know, who you're dealing with, and, you're out metal detecting and kicking, working your butt off, and you come home with 3 Wheaties and a Rosie as your favorite finds, and then, this guy's finding right down the road Confederate plates and stuff. It gets a little disheartening and sometimes, and people faking finds, and people new to the hobby don't know better. And, then I think some of them will start faking finds. Oh, this guy's finding this, and this guy, and they're looking at people that are faking finds. And I think it seems like a real epidemic lately. I'll be honest with you. I've been getting out. I have not found anything good to talk about. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather not post anything and get out and enjoy time away from the kids and stuff, get a little break from everything and go out and dig clad than to fake finds. You know, I'm fine with not posting stuff. And then, you know, these YouTubers, this came up by somebody very well known in the hobby, a lot of experience, and it came up recently, that, you know, how some of they were questioning, not anybody in particular, but, you know, this guy was pretty much saying, I do my research, I know my stuff, I've been doing this for years. And then I see, you know, I get out detect, you know, and I know exactly where he's coming from, and yet he watches these YouTube channels where week in and week out they're just spectacular finds. And here's my thought on that. I'm not saying they fake them. I'm not saying all of them are faked by any means, but there are some that I've questioned because of that. And here's why. Texas isn't my thing, okay? I struggle with research and everything here, but in Ohio, I don't think you could find anybody more experienced, more knowledgeable, had more information on the state as a whole than me. And I'm not saying I knew every place or anything like that. I can overlay very good. I connect with farmers. I don't have a problem getting permissions. And there's been, when I was hunting in Ohio, there were weeks that I was out every day. Every day metal detecting. When the crops came out, it was nothing for me to be out every day. And there were weeks that I couldn't have put enough together for a video. How do these people do it week in and week out? Are you telling me that their research is that much better? Their equipment and knowledge of it is better than mine? I do got to question some of that. And I think people new to the hobby see some of that and think that's how it is. And when they don't achieve that, you know, I think some of them start faking. I think that's why there's such an epidemic. So I don't know. What's your thoughts? Have you watched any videos and wondered that?
Yeah, you know, I see the same thing, and I pretty much about feel the same way that, you know, if you have especially if you have, and I'm not saying there's a lot of people whose videos are just truly legit. I mean,
yeah,
don't get me wrong, but I think there are, you know, a handful of videos out there where, you know, week in and week out, they just have incredible stuff that they found and are finding. And I don't think it's reality. I think at some point, you know, if you're putting out a ton of videos and you have awesome stuff in all your videos, odds are you may have had some possibly not so true videos with true finds. You know, I mean, I don't care. You know, you can research a ton of places. I mean, there's only so many hours in a day and 7 days in a week. And even if all you're doing is metal detecting, there's going to be times where you've hit a pile of places that week and there's just not amazing stuff. It just doesn't always, you know, show up. So, you know, I think it kind of reminds me of a show. There used to be a show on, and it might have been called, I don't know, but it had former pro wrestler Rick Savage and his family, and they would metal detect. And, you know, in the way that show was done up and portrayed, that, you know, they just stop at these houses, not get permission, and they were just finding this incredible stuff. And, you know, and I used to watch a show. It was entertaining, but, you know, it's just not reality. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that they didn't find cool stuff, but, you know, you take, God only knows how many hours of what they were actually doing and edit it down into like a 30-minute show. Yeah, it makes it look spectacular, like they're just pulling stuff out left and right. And once again, you know, that's just not the reality generally, no matter how good of research you do.
Yeah, Paul said they used backhoes, and that was my first thought. Like, my God. Yeah,
Yeah.
I watched some of that, and I'm not one quick to call somebody out or to, they're faking it or you're faking it. I'm not that guy. Matter of fact, I don't do it. I'll talk about things in that group. The I gotta look it up. Relic Cons, Artie Fakers, and Planners page. I will discuss things. A lot of times I'm defending, and that's what I love about it. I mean, I've seen posts where, and anything that I've seen post has been like, hey, what do you guys think about this? I'm not saying they're faking it, but this is questionable to me because of this. And I mean, I've seen stuff posted there where there's 15 replies and everybody says, no, I don't think it's faked because of this. And, but they also post some that everybody agrees that it's probably faked. Or I love the ones where it's like, hey, this guy faked it. Here's where it was sold last week. And he just found it yesterday. I found the exact picture of it on eBay where it's sold, and they'll post the listing up and stuff. And some of them they catch just red-handed, man. And but I'm not quick to call people out. But that show, man, I call BS. I think, those shows, I think you almost have to expect it nowadays in entertainment and television.
Yeah.
But the YouTube,
it is what it is. I mean,
the YouTube people.
Well, the YouTube things, it's getting just as bad with some of that, though. I mean, because YouTubers can make a lot of money. I mean, you get, when you got a channel and you have a ton of views and you want to keep your views and your subscriptions and your and everything, smash that like button, man. If I get 5,000 views, I'll do this. And okay, well, yeah, because there's money to be made. So, I think I'm not saying everybody, but there's a lot of people given opportunity. It happens, and but for me, I don't even mind that so much as long as people understand and realize, hey, this may or may not be completely legit. If it's entertaining, great, fine. That's fine. I watch a lot of stuff that's a little crazy, but it's entertaining. So, I feel like people, with the internet has changed so much stuff in the way, newer generations do things, and especially, with YouTube. I mean, it's just, I think you open yourself up to, a big diversity of stuff available. I'll tell you one thing though that I really like when people do in videos, and maybe it's just me. I love when people do like a wrap up of, here's the good stuff. There used to be a guy in a video, and I wish I knew who did these videos, and I can't think of it, but he used to post, it would be the good, the clad, and the ugly. And I was genius. I wish I would have thought of that myself, but and I give props to the guy that used to do those videos. I can't remember who that was, but
and there's so many of them doing good videos. I'm not knocking everybody. Please don't think that, but just be aware. Take notice. Watch a little closer to some of these videos, and I think if you pay a little more attention and you don't. You just don't assume everything's legit. I think you'll open your eyes to it and see some of the crap going on out there is pretty ridiculous. I can proudly say I have never ever faked a find except one time me and my brother went out, and we were new to the hobby, and I went into a coin shop and bought like a big Morgan dollar and a couple other coins, and they were beat up and scratched. They were they were kind of in his pile of, these are kind of destroyed and collectors don't want them. And I did that to my brother, who quickly caught on. But, that was between me and him and a joke. And I would have never let that go on more than the day that I was doing it with him. But I've never faked a find. I don't see the point in it. I don't understand it. I understand that if when people do that, it affects others in the hobby. You know, that isn't even as horrible as the people making finds and trying to sell them. That to me is horrible. That is horrible. I've heard.
Well, I personally just don't. I don't see the reason. Faking fines is one thing, but then turning around and then selling it fake fines. That's just. I don't know. There's some pretty low stuff, but that's right down there with it.
The people faking coins and stuff, they're looking for attention. The people that are faking plates and stuff, that particular guy that I mentioned earlier, I think he does it for attention, but there are those who have faked fines and made a lot of money. And that's not right. I don't know if we talked about it on air, so I'm not going to say names and stuff, but I was talking to one guest that was telling me that not too many years ago, here in Texas, a lot of stuff was being faked, and there was one, and a lot of it was like fantasy pieces, like Civil War like they never existed, and being sold, and that not only is that for monetary gain, now they're changing history with that stuff, and that needs to stop, and people need to kind of band together on that. Band together, I guess. I said band. Yeah. You still there, Matt? Did you fall asleep?
Yeah. No, I'm just laughing. I'm going to take and make a Mike Hare soundboard. I'm going to take. I've been jotting down stuff that you say that's funny to me, and I'm going to make a soundboard of Mike Hare stuff, and I'm going to randomly play clips. Man, I'm going to call you with my sound when I get it done.
That's messed up, man. That's not right. That's funny.
Here I go, getting off track, and not once again. I'm, a 2-second focus attention that I have, but
right.
No, when you said something about posting your junk earlier, and oh man, there's a few things you said in this show that are just pretty. It's just funny, isolated from the actual context of what was said. They will be hilarious.
Well, hey, I'm not okay. Let me kind of reiterate on that. I don't want to upset anybody. I don't care if you post clad. Hey, if you got out and you had fun and you want to post your clad even and stuff, that good for you. I've seen that and I have no problem with that. I don't do that. I don't, and I hate when people, I don't know. That's not me. If I find some good stuff, I might post it up. I might not. I wrote an article about that. And I think we've done it on the podcast talking about, I know people that have had their houses broken into and stuff, and including myself over fines. And I'm not real big on posting my stuff anymore. It can lead to some issues, but I'll also be honest and say I have not found much of anything in Texas, but I just don't post especially anymore.
It's funny because I don't either.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're one of those guys that has a killer collection, and I don't think I've seen any of it on Facebook. You send me pictures.
Yeah, I did post a picture of those two Civil War tokens that I found last week. But other than that, I just don't post a lot of stuff. And I don't know why. I just don't. But it's funny because I rounded up in the past week and a half. I think I rounded up like 6 or 8 silvers and a couple Civil War tokens and a few other cool little things. But Nothing super amazing, but yeah, I mean the Civil War tokens are cool, but I just generally, unless I shoot video and post it, I generally don't post a lot of pictures. And there's probably a good reason too. You know, I very rarely lock my house as it is, so anybody's free to come right on in. You know,
There's people there's lurkers right now looking up your name and where you live
that's
right
right.
now.
At least my dog's good for one thing. You know, she might bust out all my screens, but yeah, she does bark loud and keep an eye on the house. But yeah, you know, it's funny because like I mean I would post more stuff. I just don't get around to it. I get too involved in other things I got going on, and I need to make time for that. But yeah, I don't know. You know, and I will say this. You know, one thing like I've literally found like 8 billion. Okay, 8 billion is an exaggeration. I have found a lot of these Civil War tokens and store cards and stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
And like when I find them anymore, to me it's like, well, what do you do? I've got like 1 billion of them. I get excited when I find one that I haven't seen before. But you know, and you know, people might look at that and say, "Man, this guy's full of crap. He's just making this up." And no, I just legitimately have went to places where somehow they happen to be there. I don't know. I just seem to get lucky.
Yeah, there's something with your area and your father-in-law's house that, because man,
his place is loaded. And I'll tell you what, I wanted to say this. I've hunted that one section of his property so many times, and I've pulled a lot of stuff from there. And every time I think I get that cleaned out, I just wait about a month or two, maybe 3 months, and wait for some nice rain. And that hydraulic pressure and force of that, it just must really turn because there's a bottle dump on the one section of his yard, okay? And every year for the past, let's see, my wife's 30. How old is I'm 35, 36, somewhere in there. I don't know. My wife's younger than me, so 35, 30, somewhere. Okay. For the past 35 years, stuff has been working its way out of the ground and complete bottles, okay? Every year, more stuff comes up. So his whole property seems to just constantly turn like that. And if I wait about 3, 4, anywhere from 2 to 3 months, go back out there after there's a lot of moisture in the ground. I came across that first signal the other day, just banging signal. Like I was convinced when I first went over it that my father-in-law was planting stuff back out in the yard until I pulled it out and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's not one. He definitely didn't plant this because I've never seen this one before. This was one I've never had. You know, but it's just an amazing property, and I just happen to hit other properties, and so it's very likely too that they really use the in the area that I'm in.
How many do you think you found out of his yard?
Out of his property, probably close to 25, maybe more than that. Maybe 30.
I think I have.
I got a lot of them.
I think I have 2 store card tokens altogether. So
and I've got about 10 or 12 other ones, maybe 15 that I found other places. So
something was going on.
But his yard is definitely in crazy and what's weird is it's such a scattered array of where I'm finding them that if someone would have just took a handful of them and chucked them in the yard. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't be scattered all over that. I don't know. I don't know. And, that's part of the fascination for me too is, and unfortunately we'll never know, but you always wish you had a time machine and could go back and to the day or days when those were lost or dropped or thrown out there and figure out what the heck they're actually doing out there and why is there so many of them. It's kind of cool.
We're getting ready to wrap up. I think we covered everything. If anybody has any questions, now's the time. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up here real soon. So, but yeah, man, I would love to hunt that sometime and see if I can get me a store card token. I don't know.
I guarantee if you come up, you can find some. I
just don't get why they're in your area and in his yard so much. I don't know.
And the other thing is I found a lot of them that have said Massillon, Ohio, which is the city I live in. And, so they obviously used them fairly heavily in my area because there seems to be a lot of them in the general area. So, as opposed to other places, maybe they weren't as popular. So, I don't know.
To me, they seem about as rare as a flying eagle, and you got 35, 40
I've got
of
a
them.
whole pile. I've got a whole pile of them.
I don't get that, man.
Yeah.
There's something about that area. I don't know what it is, but so we don't have any questions.
You better move the masculine. That's all.
No doubt. Let's wrap it up tonight. I'm tired.
Right.
I think we covered everything. Do you got anything, Dad?
Oh, not that I can think of off the top of my head. No, not really.
Hey,
but,
have a good weekend.
I don't think so.
Have a good weekend in D.C.
Yeah, well, I'll be in D.C. tonight, tomorrow, and then headed back to PA, and then hopefully I'll make it home sometime Friday evening out of PA. We'll see. It depends how bad the customers yell at me. We'll find out.
All right, Matt. Have a good night, buddy.
All right. Yep, you guys take her easy.
Yep.
We'll see you.
Yep. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Please, if you're not in the All Metal Mode Facebook group, would love it if you join. Give us your input, your feedback. If you have guest ideas, we're always looking for that. Again, that's All Metal Mode Facebook group. If you don't want to join another group, I get it. I understand. My email is allmetalmode@gmail.com. Hit the like button. We really appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in. Good night.
The All Metal Mode podcast is sponsored by Digger's Den. If you are looking for a metal detector, get in touch with Mike or Brian. Together, they have years of experience with many different brands and models. They also truly enjoy what they do. You can contact them through Facebook at Digger's Den, visit the website at dddetectors.com, or give Mike a call. He makes it sound like it's so hard raising our boy, but trust me, he has time. 937-414-4578.